Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. I talk about books on this channel, mainly books about magic, and if you want to see more of that, you can hit subscribe down below. Welcome or welcome back, and today we are going to be doing a reset going into February. Alright, I'll be honest, I think it's February reset since we are resetting going into February, but if I'm wrong, you'll have to let me know. But today I wanted to I have been on a quest to try and figure out what I can do instead of a wrap up every month where I hold up a book and tell you exactly what I thought about it for every book that I read. I just don't like doing it, and I've been trying to figure out a way to change up the wrap up with still ending the month somehow. So this is my latest attempt, and in this we're going to be talking about the progress I've made on the various challenges that I've talked about over the course of the month, my general feelings about the month, and probably my top couple of books will be in a wrap up, and then I will also show you all the books I read in a rating, but maybe not talk about them all. So we're going to see how that goes. If you really like regular wrap-ups, if you adore me holding up every book I've read in the last month and me telling you exactly what I thought about it, let me know if you don't like these little experiments, because I still am not sure we won't end up going back to regular wrap-ups, but I thought this would be a fun way to do it since I really want to be accountable in the challenges that I'm doing this year, as well as about my physical TBR. I thought we would try it out this way. So to kick things off, let's do a little bit of stats, telling you that I finished 5 books this month and DNF'd 1. I read all 5 on audiobook, and I listened to 1 novella and 4 novels. I believe 4 of the 5 books were fantasy and 1 was science fiction, and I had a pretty good reading month. I did not find my first 5-star of the month or of the year, but honestly I think that's more of a me problem at this point. I feel like I was a little bit in a reading slump this month. Honestly, when you see that I had 3 4.5 stars, a 4-star, and a 3-star, you'll realize that I feel like I just didn't quite have that reading experience this month that pushed anything over that 5-star mark, and I think, like I said, that was mostly me, but we'll see going forward. But I'm still on the hunt for my first 5-star read of the year, and all 5 books that I finished reading were part of a series, whether they were starting a new series, continuing a series, or ending a series. Then I also want to use these type of wrap-ups to keep accountability on the bingo boards that I create for my TBR projects at the beginning of the month. And as you can see here, I almost completely filled the bingo board. The only one I didn't complete is a romance book, and even though some of the books I was reading had a romance subplot in them, none of them were predominantly a romance book, so I didn't include that check mark. But I did read The Diviners for a 500+ page book. I did use my new journal stickers in my reading and bullet journal for the month, so I was really happy about that. I mood read A Natural History of Dragons. Even though this was on my TBR, I considered it a mood read because I read it at a super leisurely pace. I did not push myself to read this, and even our buddy read, I did a buddy read for this with Krista from Books and Jams and Leandra from the TBR 0, and all of us kind of just slowly read this book. I didn't push myself to read it faster, and even though it was stretching out, I was still really enjoying it, so I considered this a mood read. I did unhaul 5 books, and we will talk about that more later. I reread The Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. I did reorganize my bookshelf, and like I said, I mentioned this in one of my vlogs that I did work on reorganizing that and cleaning it up and kind of getting rid of stuff on that shelf, but I'm not going to show you it because it has some personal items on it, so I can't show you it, but I did take care of one of those shelves, so that is a third of a goal done for the year. I read Half Off Ragnarok from Shauna Maguire as one of my favorite authors, and this is the 3rd book in the Encrypted series. And then I also did post 2 reviews to Goodreads. I also posted 2 review shorts to YouTube, and I am up to date on my Storygraph ratings, which is something I tend to fall behind on. So this square really I overachieved on this post to Review Square. So overall, a pretty successful month according to my bingo board TBR. And then I want to talk about my physical TBR, which is, you know, something that is a big goal for me this year. Unfortunately, even though I mentioned I unhauled 5 books, I also hauled 5 books that I haven't read before. I actually hauled more than that, but I only added 5 books to my physical TBR, which I'm glad it was only that many. So at the end of the day, we are ending up at starting at 75 and ending at 75, and it's just how the cookie crumbled this month. I'm really hoping in February I can tackle a few more books that are on my physical TBR. With the rereads that I did this month and being in a bit of a reading slump, I just ended up not really reading anything from my physical TBR. It was all hauls and unhauls that made up that exchange. So next month I definitely want to try and focus on my physical TBR as much as possible. With a readathon in there, it could be a little tricky, but we'll see how it all goes. Speaking of readathons, I did participate in TBR-a-thon this month hosted by Leandra, and I did the Paws and Bookshelves game board, which you can see my progress here. Now I do think, according to my notes and everything that I looked at, I do think I accomplished all of my prompts. Now I did double and sometimes triple up on prompts in order to get through the game board. If you saw my TBR, it was quite the journey to get this TBR together, and if you want to see that, I'll have it like linked somewhere. But overall, I did really well. I did swap out, I think originally I put on Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna McGuire on this TBR, and I ended up switching that out for A Prayer for the Crown Shy for very similar prompts, and I ended up getting all the way up to the top of the board. Now I am still currently reading Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater, and I'm hoping, at the time of filming, and I'm hoping to have Godkiller done by the 31st. But I'm considering both of these, you know, finished essentially, or like as part of the game board, because I did start them and I'm a good chunk of the way into the books. So for my purposes of saying, you know, did I like accomplish this board, I think I did pretty well. And even though those books aren't done at the time of filming, I think well, Godkiller will be done before the end of the month. Call Down the Hawk we might have to stretch into February, but overall I did pretty well. But I'm considering, if you can see that red X at the top of the game board, it's because I didn't read Babel by R.F. Kuang, which was the final book that I wanted to read to kind of finish off the board and make sure I earned all the dogs. So it's a bit of a yes and no. Did I accomplish my TBR? Pretty well, but I didn't quite get there completely. So I'm really happy with this result for the most part. I really stuck to this TBR and at least tried everything on it for the most part, except for, like I said, Where the Drowned Girls Go. But that's an ongoing series for me, and I'm just really happy with how this worked out. So now I want to dive in and update the reading challenges that I've tried to commit to for this year and see how I did in my first month of them. So the first one up is 25 and 25 from Bree at 4 Paws in a Book, and for this I did end up finishing 2 prompts. The first is Chapter Titles by the Diviners. This is one that really stood out for me because I ended up buddy reading this with a bunch of people, and when we split up our buddy read, it was hard to tell where you were supposed to stop because the chapters didn't have numbers, just titles. So I plugged this in there, and then also it was a new to you author, and for this I chose A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan. This is an author that I've been meaning to try for a long time. It was actually the avoided author prompt in TBR-a-thon, so I ended up putting this on here as well. So therefore I am technically on track. I think I'm supposed to read about 2 of these a month, 3 if I can, so that we get the full 25 at some point. But I'm really happy with getting 2 on the board for the first month, considering I was in a bit of a slump. Then we have the series takedown board by Rainy over at Rainy Blue Reads, who is also hosting Clue. And for this, I accomplished 2 of the boxes on this board as well. The first is Series You Think You'll Like, and for this I chose A Natural History of Dragons by Marie Brennan because this is a series that I thought I would really enjoy, and I absolutely loved it. It didn't quite get 5 stars from me, but I still really enjoyed it. And then also the Friend Rec series, I chose to put Half Off Ragnarok here because a friend of mine did recommend this after we buddy read the October Day series. They suggested I should, you know, put the the book on here, or the encrypted series on my radar, and we have started buddy reading it. So I'm really happy with that and really enjoying the series. So I think for this bingo board, rather than necessarily blocking them out with individual book covers, I'm gonna be tallying things because I'd like to make a lot of progress in series this year. So I'd like to kind of keep track that way. So for right now, we have a tally on each of those. Next up was Buzzwordathon, which is the 2 challenges that Kayla from Books and Lala put together. And I've actually just put out a TBR for this month and decided to try and participate. So I mentioned in that video that for the January title prompt of Truth and Lies, I decided to use Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. And then when I was reading A Prayer for the Crown Shy, I realized that the cover had a pattern within the like spheres of on the cover. So I decided to use this for patterns as well. So I actually completed both January prompts in January. Don't look for that to happen every month. I really do not anticipate me accomplishing these within the corresponding month for most of the year. Then I've also been keeping track of Sufferathon, which I did not participate in the actual Sufferathon, like readathon, but I decided to join for the year-long challenge in hopes of joining it this coming year and keeping better track. So in the beginning of the year, I think our January choice, I don't remember what the other choice was, but one was to get in a lifeboat and to make progress on a 2025 goal. So I have done that. If you've seen anything that's going on in this video, I did that. So I am checking this off. If you want a specific book for this prompt, we are going to say A Natural History of Dragons, since that was on my physical TBR. It was starting a new series and like a friend rec series, and a series that I've been meaning to get to for a long time. So those are all really good goals that I have been tackling this year, and I hope to do even better in the coming months, but this was one that I right off the bat could say, yes, I did accomplish that. So I forgot one critical update, one challenge that I wanted to do right off the bat this year, and it was the bingo board from Hell from Win over at Literary Diversion. So I will have that announcement video linked down below if you'd like to check it out, but I completely forgot about this challenge. So let's very quickly go over the bingo board from Hell. I didn't reduce my physical TBR yet. I told you that stayed the same, so that didn't work. I didn't read any nonfiction yet this year, so no progress there. I have done 2 buddy reads already, so I am actually kind of ahead on this square, which I'm thrilled about. So that might be something that I up once I hit it, but right now we're at 2. I didn't go to the library. Now I'm defending my choice in this because it was really, really cold here for most of January, and honestly, I could have gone to the library, but I didn't want to. It was absolutely too cold. I consistently use my library on my apps, but this is a challenge to go physically, and I barely went anywhere that wasn't my house or my workplace in January. I listened to 5 audiobooks in January, so my progress is going to be this percentage of 75. I didn't calculate that before I decided to talk to you. I wanted to reduce my ongoing series list by 25%. I only finished 1 series this month, so that is not that's minimal progress, but it's progress nonetheless. I put on here as a goal to reorganize my 3 bookshelves that are not this bookshelf this year, and I did 1 this month, so I'm really, really happy that I have tackled 1 of these so far. I wanted to post 1 booktube review a month, and I didn't do this in January. I kept having plans to, but with the way my reading slump was working, I had to move around some content and I didn't quite get this done. I'm hoping to catch up at some point in the year because I really do want to do this. I really do want to start posting reviews at some point in the month. So that's a goal for February, to do 2. And I didn't make any progress on clearing off books from my physical TBR from before 2022. So that's going to be something I need to work on in the future as well. I completely forgot to include this in my updates, and I just really wanted to go over them quickly. So hopefully I will have more progress and also include it in my video next month in order to update you all. But that's my updates for this, and let's jump back to Julie from yesterday. So I believe that's all the updates I have for you right now. I didn't talk about any of the goals or things that I didn't make progress on, so if you'd like to hear like kind of an overview every month, let me know. I'm still trying to figure out the format of this, and I also didn't make any progress on our fantasy, so I'm really gonna have to buckle down if I'm gonna get that done by April. We shall see what happens. But If you have any thoughts or feelings or want to share anything about this format or the books that I talked about today, please let me know down below. I'd love to chat with you down there. Before I go, I am going to put up all 6 of the books that I read this month and their ratings over my face here. So if you are interested in a specific book or my exact thoughts on it, please let me know and I can chat about it with you down below. Or, you know, we can make space for that kind of thing in the next month. Like I said, we're still working out the kinks of this. I'm excited I like this format. I liked talking about all these goals and everything, but I had a lot to update you on this month. So we'll see what happens next month and if this is sustainable. If you aren't feeling chatty and you just want to leave me an emoji down below, go ahead and leave me a dragon emoji of your choice, since I did read a dragon book this month. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!